Hey, this is Horner, and this is the Virtual Momentum and Collisions Lab. So this little lab will help you understand collisions and kind of how they work. You'll want to go to Canvas in order to open this up. You'll have to open up the spreadsheet. There's no directions with this. The video is essentially your directions. To open it, you'll go down to the Virtual Collisions, PHET website. When you click on it and click on the link, it will bring up probably what you see here. If not, it'll bring up the actual working lab. So if it brings this up and it says no Flash player was detected and you are in Google Chrome, you do probably already have it. What you'll need to do is go up to the lock here, click on the lock, and then it will say Flash, and you just need to go over and say allow. Once you say allow and then close that box off, it will say to apply the settings, reload the page. When you do that, then the virtual activity should come up. At this point, what you'll need to do is click on Show Values, and it will show you all the values that you have, and then you'll also want to click on More Data. Once you've done that, you're ready to go. For this lab, you're going to start with this row, so it's row number 3. And you'll notice that it says cart. So we're actually going to physically do this in the lab, but before we do it, we want to do it in a virtual sense so you know what's going on. The left cart is going to be the red ball, and the right cart is going to be the green ball. So this one says that the left cart has a mass of m and that it is stationary. So if I move down to the notes, for mass, 1m is 1 kilogram. So I'm going to put in, for the mass, 1.00 kilograms. And then it says the collision type here is bounce. And for bounce, we want to make sure that the elasticity is set to 100%, which is elastic. So this is the slider. You'll notice you can change it, but we want this one to be 100% elastic, which it is. If this was a stick collision where the two are going to stick together, you're going to change from elastic to inelastic. So elasticity is 0%, it's inelastic, and you'll see that's what you want it set to. So I'm going to move it back where it was. The collision type is bounce. The right cart is also 1 mass, so I want to change this to 1.00. Now that I have the masses correct, I want to see that this left cart is stationary. So that means that the velocity of that left or red cart or red ball here is 0. So I'll put that in. And then the right cart is going to the left. So for the velocities, we want to use the chart. My last name begins with an H. So anytime I have a velocity, it's either going to be positive or negative 0.9. If it's going left, then for a left velocity, I have to use a negative sign. So for example, negative 1 meter per second is 1 meter per second left, and so I want the green ball going negative 0.9. So that's for my lab. For somebody that has a last name that ends in S, then they will have a velocity of negative 1.5 for this one. Now that I have both my velocities and I have my masses correct, I can now start filling in the chart. This red part of the chart is before the collision, and then there is a blue chart that is for after the collision. The first thing I do is, this means the velocity of the left cart in meters per second. We know that the velocity of the left cart is 0, so we were told that it's stationary, so this is 0, and our direction is none. The momentum of the left cart is going to be my mass times my velocity, and because it's not moving, my momentum here is 0. The direction is also none. The velocity initial of the right cart will be negative 0.9, so I'm going to put in negative 0.9. And the direction of the left cart now we know is left because it's negative. And the momentum will be the mass, which is 1, times negative 0.9, so that gives me a momentum of negative 0.9 kilogram meter per second. The direction is also left. My total momentum here is going to be the sum of the two momenta. So the momenta of the left is 0, momenta of the right is negative 0.9, so I'm going to put in negative 0.9 since they are the same. And then the direction will be left. How do I know it's left? Because I have a negative number here. We want to run the simulation now. So to run the simulation, you can just click play. If it's running really fast, you can change the sim speed and make it a lot slower. I'm just going to leave it right about where it was and make it so that it goes pretty well. And once they collide and they're done colliding, I'm going to stop and I'm going to enter all of my new values here. So they've built a little bit of error into this, which means that your values won't come out 100% perfect. But when you do your analysis on the report sheet, you'll come out with a very small percent difference. The velocity of the left cart now, when I look, the velocity here is negative 0.9. I also see it right here. So I'm going to put in negative 0.9. That means that the direction is left. And I'm going to take 1 times that negative 0.9, and I get negative 0.9 for my momentum of the left cart, and that is going to the left. For my right cart, my final velocity is 0.01, so that's very small. The direction is to the right, okay, and my momentum is 0.01, because 0.01 times 1 is 0.01, and the direction here is going to also be right. So my total momentum is going to be negative 0.9 plus 0.01. That gives me negative 0.89. And the direction here is left. So notice I added the two. Negative 0.9 plus a positive 0.01 gives me that negative 0.89. And so my direction is left. On the actual report sheet then, the only thing that you need to do is put in the collision type, the momentum before, that's the total, and the total momentum after. You're going to find the difference between the values. You actually want the absolute value of the difference, so that will be on there. The average of those two values of the two momenta, and then you're going to divide the difference by the average and multiply by 100%, 100% to find the percent difference. You'll also need to make sure that you put in the mass that you used, and the other thing I'm going to have you do is put in what velocity did you use, and that one is from the table. The mass, remember, is always 1, so hopefully that won't confuse you. Copy and paste your red data table. So my red data table is the before, and then I want to put the blue one down here on the bottom. So this is actually blue, and then you should be set. And that is the end of this. Oh, one more thing. In order to do the next one, I want to hit reset all, and then I want to say show values and say more data, and that will help me get started. Make sure you always change your masses. For the next one, you'll notice that my masses are still the same, but when I get down here for the row number 6, 3 times the mass would give me a 3 down here, and then this one is just 1 mass, and so that one is going to be 1. And that should be it. All right.